Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Thursday, October 21st, 2021. I am Andrew Hanson, ready to break down this three-game NBA slate for you, day 3 of the NBA season. Hope you're enjoying the beginning of it. We sure are here. Exciting games here getting underway. We had the double overtime game with the Celtics and Knicks last night, and we've got some great teams on the slate tonight. You know how the NBA does it, where they like to feature the best teams here early in the season, get those ratings up, and I know I'll be tuned in. A lot of star power here, excited to break it down, and great time here at DFS Coach Talk with all these sports going. So appreciate you joining me here, and let's get after it and try to break it down here, game by game, team by team. We'll try to work through the rotations here, who's likely in, likely out, areas to avoid, areas to attack. The fact that we do have these really strong teams, one of the features here is that we've got a lot of strong defensive teams. So we'll hit on some of the ratings from last year. All 4 teams in games 2 and 3 were top 10 in defensive efficiency last year. Now, we know we have some moving parts, different combinations, so it's not going to be exact in terms of the carryover, but a lot of stuff we can take from those rankings. And because of that strong defense in games 2 and 3, if I had to pick one game to get a little bit more exposure to, it probably would be game 1, Dallas and Atlanta. Coach with the day off here on Thursday. So he's just going to be watching those Mavs, and he's all focused on Luka. But we are going to show him some love and Dallas some love as well. So let's get into that one here. It is a 7:30 Eastern tip as Dallas is traveling to Atlanta to take on the Hawks. And in terms of the overall slate here, again, the totals all range between 223.5 to 228. And the spreads are all between 2.5 and 3.5 points. This is courtesy of BetUS.com.pa, one of our partners. So, in terms of Vegas and those numbers, not a lot jumping off the page. But again, let's dig into some of these matchups and rankings to see if we can gain an edge. In game 1, the total is 225. Atlanta favored by 2.5, and this is the first game, of course, for both teams. In terms of the injury news, Dallas is actually pretty healthy, which is kind of refreshing. And on the Atlanta side, we do have a couple questionable tags for Lou Williams with his hip and Gallinari with his shoulder. So let's start with the visiting team here, Dallas. Now, we've got Jason Kidd in town, and one of the unattractive features of Dallas last year was their pace. They were 25th. I think there's a decent chance we'll pick it up a little bit here with the old point guard in charge. So the prospects for Luka are strong. Coach, as you may have seen on the Western Conference preview pod that he did, really happy with Luka being in better shape. Obviously, he was crushing it in the Olympics, so he's had a good offseason here, ready to go. He's expensive, but I'll certainly pay up for him here in some lineups. By the way, those Eastern and Western Conference preview podcasts are still available, still very relevant. Check those out on our YouTube channel to get a breakdown of each team, changes, rotations, etc. Now, with the rest of the Mavericks, what I'm looking at here for the starting lineup, likely tonight, THJ, Dorian Finney-Smith, who really has the best initials out there, doesn't he, with DFS? Porzingis, and then Powell has been starting at the center spot. On the bench, Brunson and Kleba, I think, are the 2 guys we can count on the most for minutes, and their prices are fair. I'm never a big Kleba fan, especially when he's coming off the bench. But it'll be really interesting to see what Kidd does with these rotations, because we do have some questionable areas. The wing spot off the bench, we've got Sterling Brown and Bullock. And then how about the bigs? Still crowded. Good old Boban has to deal with Willie Cauley-Stein and Moses Brown there. So I'm not looking at those bench centers for Dallas. I want to wait and see how that plays out. Not looking at the bench wings. Brunson playable, 3,500 on DraftKings. Good price for him if you want a solid value play. Again, I like Luka, and if you want to stack this game, then you could roll out THJ, for example. he and DFS, whoever is defended by Hunter is going to have some tough sledding. Powell is a potential punt play, but I like some other centers who are cheap here better, and I think they're in slightly better spots with potentially more minutes. So probably just Luka or Brunson, the main focus for me on Dallas today. On the Atlanta side, we've got a situation where the team, I think, has to be really excited, but the depth is a little bit scary in some areas for DFS. So we'll work through that. Now, they were 19th defensively last year. Dallas was 17th defensively. So that's one of the things I like about this game. We've got below average defenses, but both two teams were top 10 in offensive efficiency, 9th and 8th. So that's why I give this game a slight edge to the other two. Now, on the Atlanta side, we've got good old Trae Young leading the way. We've got Bogdanovich and Hunter, and I think the other starters will be Collins and Capella. Now, Capella, here's an interesting situation. They've been working him back slowly with the Achilles. Only played 12 minutes in that preseason finale. So I'm definitely not going to play Capella. He would be pure GPP only, a little bit pricey for a guy that is just, working back up with his stamina. I do like Gorgie Jang behind him. So here's a value play right off the bat here. 3,500 on DraftKings, 36 on FanDuel. And he got big minutes with Capella out for most of the preseason, did very well. So even if he only gets 20 minutes, which I think that would be his floor for me. I really think he'll get at least 20. Then I think he can easily return value for us. With the rest of the bench, I probably won't go anywhere. Reddish at 3,900. I think he'll get minutes. That's a possible play, but it's pretty crowded because we've got Kevin Huerter there, who on DraftKings at 6,200 is, I think, a little bit overpriced if he's coming off the bench. He did just get paid, so good for him. I like guys like that who just sign those deals, starting the season with that peace of mind. But 6,200 is a little bit pricey for me, for him. And then we have DeLon Wright, but he's at 7,000 on DraftKings. Too much for me, especially if Lou Williams is active. Gallinari, 4,800, probably won't quite make the cut for me with him being a little bit dinged up. Oh, and by the way, the other reason I'm sort of interested in Jang is because Okongwu is out for Atlanta, probably until December. So he should have all those backup center minutes. All right, let's go to game 2. It is Milwaukee and Miami, rematch of the playoffs, of course, where Crash Davis's Bucks swept Miami and headed on to get those rings. And the different dynamic here is good old PJ Tucker has switched sides. And that'll be a lot of fun to see. Assuming he's ready to go, he's sort of been in and out of the lineup here in the preseason. What will he do potentially guarding Giannis? I really can't wait to see that. We do have Bam potentially spending some time on Giannis as well, which would put PJ Tucker on Lopez. So either way you look at it, I think that'll be fun to watch. So Milwaukee certainly with that sort of mental edge after the big sweep. The total here, 223.5. Milwaukee favored by 3. This game is in Miami. Milwaukee, of course, strong start to the season with that win over Brooklyn. And those games last year in the playoffs averaged lower total here than 223.5. Yes, it can be more of a grinded out defensive battle in the playoffs that we might not see here, but this is just the type of matchup that I don't want to stack this game. Milwaukee was 10th last year in defense. Miami was 6th. Miami's pace was really slow, 29th. So I think we need to just sort of pick and choose from this game. On the Milwaukee side, the same 3 guys are out who missed that opener, Portis, Ojale, and Hood. And then Drew Holiday, who left the game early with the heel issue, is listed as probable. I'm recording this here on Thursday morning, so we'll follow that news. And that will certainly change things, because when he went out, Pat Connaughton really stepped up, got 30 minutes, played great. George Hill got 23 minutes. So if Holiday is ready to go, I think we, expect a little bit less from Hill and Connaughton. Grayson Allen, really nice start. Got up 10 threes, made 3 of them. Hit value for sure. And still reasonably priced. So, he's a cash type shooting guard here in the low 4K range on both sites. You could look at Middleton, Giannis, and Lopez. I think the most important thing for me with Giannis watching game one is that he, in terms of health and physique and being in shape, he looked great, but 7 of 9 at the free throw line. If he can shoot like that, and he was aggressive outside as well, looked better, man, what a handful he's going to be all season long. Don't need to go there, though, on this slate with more of a defensive struggle potentially and that slow pace of Miami. I think right now I would lean Luka over Giannis if I had to pick one. And Middleton could get some Jimmy Butler defense. So, he did fine in that series, but not really a smash spot for him. Brook Lopez, he actually had some decent games against Bam and company in that series. He had 28 minutes in game one. So he's a potential mid-tier guy that you could look at. Now with the Milwaukee bench, like I said, I'm going to pull back a little bit from Hill and Connaughton, assuming Drew Holiday is ready to go. Nora, how about that start for him? Really strong. Got up 13 shots in his 26 minutes off the bench. And he helped us win some money. And he's still at a good price on both sides. 3,700 on DraftKings. One of my favorite value plays again today. 43 on FanDuel, still good. How about the bigs? Thanasis was the first guy off the bench. He got 12 minutes, and he did well. Now, he's more of a hustle guy for me. And, so his floor isn't great because if the rebounds don't bounce his way, doesn't get the stocks, then he's not going to do much for you. But, with Portis out, I think he'll get, at least 12 minutes again. So in the low 3K range on both sites, he's certainly in play. My man, Mamu Kelashvili, was disappointing. He only got 7 minutes. I thought he would have double-digit minutes, and they just went with the veterans throughout the second half. He got he got a little bit of run in the first half, and then he got the last couple minutes of the game. So on this slate, we've got more value plays in the 3K range. So I would go Thanasis over him and look elsewhere for some other value. Over on the Miami side, new situation here with Lowry in town and PJ Tucker, as I mentioned. I assume both of those guys will be ready to go tonight, along with Jimmy Butler, Duncan Robinson, and Bam as the starting 5. Lowry has been more of the facilitator so far in the preseason as he's getting used to his new team. Hasn't been scoring much, so I'm not going to go there over 8,000 on DraftKings. I much prefer Jimmy Butler at 8,300. He's one of my. I like that price for him on a slate like this because we know he can give us 45, 50 fantasy points easily. And then Bam, probably a little too much for me here in game one at 7,600 on DraftKings. With the bench, how about Tyler Hero? Really strong in the preseason, as Coach discussed on the Eastern Conference show. Multiple games over 25 points and a great price, 5,200 DraftKings, 49 FanDuel. Lock him in. That's my plan here on most of my lineups. We saw what Patty Mills did off the bench against Milwaukee. They just did not have an answer for him, kept getting loose, knocking down all those threes. So will they make an adjustment and shore that up with Hero? We'll see. But we know he's going to run the second unit and probably be in there at crunch time. So Hero's in a great spot for me. Strus has also been strong here in the preseason. He had a game where he and Hero started in the preseason. He had 28 points. He also had a couple strong games coming off the bench. 3,500 on both sites. Definitely worth considering. You know, when you get a guy like that who has that 25 plus point game in the preseason, he's got to have a ton of confidence, feeling great about being in the rotation. So take a look there. And then it looks like Markieff Morris and Dwayne Dedmon will be the bigs off the bench. Don't think we need to go there. I like some of the other value plays better. All right, one game to go here on this 3-game slate, day 3 of the NBA season. Just want to invite you to jump in with us as a member, dfscoachtalk.com. Join us for the entire NBA season. We have a membership available on the website, dfscoachtalk.com. Grab the full season package, which you can make in 3 payments, or get the first half package and check us out for the beginning of the season here. And with those memberships, you get all the other sports as well. It's just named NBA because it's based on the calendar year, the schedule of the NBA. But you get all of our NFL lineups, MLB, PGA. We've had a great last couple weeks in NFL. We're going to keep that going tonight with a Thursday night game. Check out that podcast, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Joe Stanton, all fired up for his Broncos. Couldn't find the Peyton Manning jersey yesterday, so he had to go with Jokic. But that's going to be a fun one. No salary cap on FanDuel for that contest tonight. So we talked about that dynamic on the show. Check that out on our YouTube channel. While you're there, if you don't mind, subscribe to the channel and hit the thumbs up button and the alert button so you know when all these podcasts post. We'll continue to put them in front of the paywall for you, and we appreciate all your support. Any questions, reach out to us on Twitter at DFS CoachTalk. And again, to sign up, dfscoachtalk.com. We will send you an email after you've signed up and invite you into our Discord. We give out our lineups about 30 minutes before tip in the NBA. Full lineups on FanDuel and Yahoo, Cash, GPP, and then the coach's clipboard on DraftKings. All right, game 3, Clippers and Golden State. Out west at 10 o'clock Eastern. Golden State favored by 3.5 at home after that strong first win over the Lakers. And we've got the Clippers first game of the year, total here 228. So it's actually the highest total on the board. Golden State was tied for second in pace last year, but they were 5th defensively. So keep that in mind. Clippers, of course, very strong defensively. They were 8th. They are missing, however, a fellow named Kawhi Leonard. So different dynamic for the Clippers here. Batum and Ibaka are still out also here in game 1. On the Golden State side, Clay, Wiseman, and Kuminga all still out, just like in game 1. So let's talk about these Clippers here as the visiting team. Reggie Jackson, the man now with the ball as the point. I'm looking for the other starters here to be Bledsoe, Paul George, of course, Marcus Morris, and Zubats. Now, Morris hasn't been playing here in the preseason. We'll see if he's actually going to start. But Reggie Jackson is interesting here at the beginning of the season. Let's follow his price. Let's see how he does. 6,700 on DraftKings is playable. Not my favorite option tonight. Paul George, certainly going to get a lot of looks here as well without Kawhi, and deservedly so. 9,700 could be a little much for me on DraftKings. We know about Golden State's tough defense and Wiggins, the big improvements he made last year, taking it more seriously. So I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for Paul George. Zubats got to feel better about his role being solidified with Ibaka out. We'll see if he gets towards 30 minutes. He actually got 26 minutes in the last preseason game, but they didn't like to get him to that mark last year. So Hartenstein is the backup big to soak up those extra minutes, and he was solid in the preseason, only 3,100. Certainly could return value very easily. The other players to look at off the bench, the guys that I think are solid here in terms of their spot in the rotation tonight, Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, and Winslow. Mann at 4,500, even though he's a little more expensive than those other two, is the guy that I'm most interested in. And I think he could get a little bit of a bump here as they need some length and some defense against Steph and Poole. So Mann is on my radar. Over on that Golden State side, what did we learn from game one? Steph, first triple-double in quite some time. A little bit below average in terms of shooting, but he really battled to get it done. 10,000 is pretty steep. But this starting backcourt doesn't scare me that much in terms of defense. So you could go there. That would be a pivot off of Luka potentially. Poole, 5,500. I like that situation a little bit better on this slate than Steph because of that big price savings. And Poole, he was kind of just off the mark in the first half, but he did pick it up in the second half. Ended up with a decent game in his 25 minutes. He did turn his ankle there and was hobbled a little bit. But I like his price. The other starter for Golden State should again be Wiggins, Draymond, and Looney. The thing that stood out for me there was, remember the talk about Wiggins and Draymond being limited in terms of minutes in game one. Well, Draymond got 30 minutes, 6, 8, and 6, solid. So he's a mid-tier guy you could look at on this slate. Looney was really strong in his 15 minutes, but that's the thing with Looney is, once again, if you watch the games, you can see he's kind of laboring with his stamina, and Kerr has to take him out sometimes after 4 or 5 minutes because he really is playing hard, but he just can't stay out there for 7, 8 minutes at a time like some of these other bigs. So he's still in play for me, though, in the 3K range on both sites. With the Golden State bench, Damian Lee, probably the most attractive as the cheapest option to get big minutes here at 3,600. He got 29 minutes in the opener. He's a potential play, not my favorite. Bielitsa, really strong start to his Golden State career, 15, 11, and 4 in 26 minutes. And he took advantage of the fact that Looney did not play big minutes. He's been priced up to 4,600, still playable, not quite the value you got in game one. Otto Porter Jr., 4,300. I will not play him. He got 12 minutes, but did not like how he looked. Really a step sluggish. And so one of the things we do at DFS Coach Talk is we'd like to watch the games and glean this type of information from what we can see. How do guys look in terms of their physique, their fitness, their explosiveness? And he scored poorly on those things for me. So I'm not going to go there. Iguodala got 23 minutes, was decent. Moody did not get many minutes. He got 6. So Lee, really, again, Lee and Bielitsa, the guys to look at off the bench. All right, I hope that helped everybody narrow in on their picks. I'm going to work here throughout the day to finalize these rosters for our members. Looking forward to a strong night. Again, we'd love to have you. DFSCoachTalk.com if you want to jump in for these lineups tonight. Tomorrow, Coach will be back, so make sure to tune in for that. And these podcasts on the NBA DFS schedule will continue 7 days a week. So thank you for all your support. Hope you all have a great Thursday, exciting sports night with these 3 NBA games. And of course, that NFL kickoff Thursday night, which could be a bit of a slugfest with some potential weather, but we're going to try to eke out some winners. So thanks again for tuning in. On behalf of the entire DFS Coach Talk team, I'm Andrew Hanson. We'll see you next time as we look to crush it in DFS.